sure you're feeling it. Business is hard, and now more than ever, you need to have a plan to help your business not just survive, but thrive. And it can happen as simply as thinking with the end in mind. I'm Marcia. I'm a business growth strategist. I've helped tons of small business owners to establish and implement a tangible plan that guarantees increased profitability, guides your growth, and plans for your future exit. Because a business worth selling is also a business worth owning. And I want to share strategies that I've earned and learned with you on today's Profit with a Plan podcast. But before we get started, I have something to share with my listeners. I put together an insightful, think outside the box live web class on Wednesday evenings at 6 p.m. It's been specifically designed to help you learn how to turn your business into one worth selling, even if you're not thinking of selling it yet. Why now? Join me and find out all the benefits that come with a sale-ready business. Register for free at exitwithaplan.com. I'm really excited to have my guest on today, Jeroen Corthout. And Jeroen is Jeroen, excuse me. God, I practiced it and I butchered it anyways. Jeroen. Jeroen is the co-founder and CEO of Salesflare. It's an intelligent CRM built for SMBs and selling mostly to B2B and most popular with agencies and SaaS companies. Salesflare was founded when Jeroen and his co-founder Leven, did I pronounce that right? Leven, wanted to manage their leads for their software company and make it an easier way. They didn't like keeping track of them manually, like any of us do, and they built Salesflare, which pulls customer data together automatically. It's now the most popular CRM on Product Hunt and top rated on review platforms like G2 for its ease of use and automation features. Now, I got to tell you, ease of use is so important for all of us business owners because we're wearing 10 different hats and we're running around like crazy chasing customers and putting out fires. So if we can simplify the process of bringing that client from introduction to that client, I mean, what a better way to do it. Jeroen, thanks for coming on the podcast today.
Well, thank you for having me.
Excellent. Okay, so we all know, or I would assume business owners know what a CRM is, but give me an idea of what your version of CRM is for us.
Yeah, it's pretty simple. It's managing customer relationships. If you ask our customers, they would actually say it slightly differently. They would say follow-up leads is a simplified version of managing customer relationship, maybe a bit more narrow because it's more towards new business. It's not the only thing you can do with a CRM, but many companies are using it for that reason. They want to generate new business and they need to follow up these relationships, these leads very well, because if you don't follow up with the right timing, with the memory, like what you discussed before, what the next steps are and all those kind of things, very often you won't be successful with these leads because basically you need to build a relationship with a lead very consistently at the right time and do that at scale because you don't have one that you're following up. It's tens, maybe even hundreds for some people.
Right.
So good organization is really key. And we build a system that facilitates that. So you don't have to organize yourself on a piece of paper or in a spreadsheet, which is also quite hard because, for instance, you cannot see any timeline there. For instance, you cannot see the last emails you sent to them and when you called them and when you had meetings. And I mean, you might have one cell in which you fill in like what is the last thing I did, but you cannot see more than that. And our system is actually built to automatically keep track of all that. So most of the CRMs you'll find or that you have used before or so are systems in which there's a lot of manual data input needed to actually have the data there to then be able to organize yourself. So the system is very dependent on you, on your extreme discipline, because it requires.
You know, that's a really great point because we've all been there, right? If we've been in any
Hmm.
kind of sales job, the sales manager says, okay, between 10 and 12, you're going to make 20 calls, right? And then you're going, okay, who do I call? And then you spend all this time going back and researching, what did I say to them? What was the story? What was the product? What was their problem? You go through, and it's like that takes you, say, let's just say you're quick, and it takes you 5 minutes per call to pull all that data together so you feel comfortable making the call and remembering what you talked about in the previous thing. I mean, that's a lot of time, then making the call, then putting in the notes. It's a pain in the butt.
Yeah.
So to have this kind of simplified thing, it makes total sense. Is it really that easy though? I mean, I'll pull up a client and it shows all the information, or I'll pull up my calls and it'll show what I'm calling on.
Yeah, it's at least we go as far as we can in that respect. So a few examples. It connects to your mailbox,
Huh?
so it will see that you and I, for instance, have been emailing, that we have a meeting scheduled, because the one thing is in the mailbox, like your name and email address is there, the emails are there. Actually, if you're also sending emails with an email signature, it pulls up that email signature, so the data that is there, you also don't need to put in the CRM, then compiles this timeline with emails, with meetings from the calendar, with phone calls from the phone. Especially if you have an Android phone, then we can connect into the call history of the phone, and then it can start matching up phone numbers with people. And it doesn't matter in which order that happens, it always eventually matches it up. Then in emails, there's little like open tracking and click tracking, which also connects to website tracking. So actually the whole set of interactions is mapped automatically. The information about the customer, anything you get from them, is also mapped automatically. It also pulls in information about the company, your company, based on company databases. And that is then also shareable across colleagues. So for instance, you were contacted by my colleague, Carrie, and I can see everything that Carrie has discussed with you. And I can really neatly pick up, without Gary having to spend an enormous time on like doing a lot of data input. The system has done that, and we both know that what's in the system has happened. If it's not in the system, it probably doesn't exist, which is not the case in most CRMs. Like if it's not in the CRM, it might also be that you just didn't put it in there, right? So you
Right.
cannot really rely on that data. While in our system, we're pretty sure about that.
So in the introduction, you had mentioned that you guys were tired of chasing leads, you didn't like it, and you wanted to build
Mm-hmm.
this out. Um, has it, I mean, was okay, first of all, I'm not a software developer. So was this something that was easy for you guys to do? Or did you hire it out to have someone do it? Because it sounds like it's the perfect system, right? For what you guys were looking for, and many of us.
It wasn't easy, but we did it ourselves.
You did it yourself. Impressive. Okay.
Yeah,
Okay.
that's actually, we started with 3 people. Like it was me and 2 developers. My co-founder was one of the developers, and we hired another one. And I was basically trying to get the word out there, and thinking with them about the product, and they were building the product. And we've been going on for that like that for a year or so, and then we hired some people, and we've been growing the team, but we've built everything in house. I must say that idea of a CRM that does everything for you was, let's say, it took us a while to build it to a point that it actually did what we promised,
Mhm.
which is a hard part. If you just build a simple software, which was what's usually recommended when you start a company, is that you build a very simple version of something first. The
Minimum viable
simple
product. Yeah.
yeah, and the simple version was already quite complex. So that made that we have had to do a lot of work and investments before we actually got this all going. But
I like
everything
the
is going
idea.
well now.
I like the idea that you actually were building it for your own needs. And so therefore you're not putting in all the crazy stuff. I'm sure you've been there, and I'm sure a lot of listeners have tried to go in and look at, these big all-in-one places like the other guy, Salesforce. You go in there
Hmm.
and it's like, oh my gosh, this is like it's horrible because there's so much information, and they say, oh, it'll be customized to you, but it's like they're rewriting the whole program to make it personal to you. Otherwise, it's just this mass data storage. And
Hmm.
I find that to me was like, I wanted to go, no, that's too much. But to be able to make it for your own personal needs tells me that it's got all the pieces that we really want in our CRM to be able to go, okay, I've got John Doe and I talked to him on this day and I'm due to call him the next week, or and then the information just keeps flowing through and following us along the way. And I think that's what we all need, especially in the SMB world and small business and enterprise. I mean, we don't need everything that the large companies have to work with. It's so much nicer to have exactly what you need and not all
Yeah,
the because
we definitely.
there may not be five people working on that client, you know?
No, no, no. It's very true what you say. We focused a lot on the basics of a CRM, on making sure that people actually use it. And also if we work with customers, we have some enterprise plan in which we actually help customers uh, roll out the whole thing. We always focus on making sure that people are going to use it, not overcomplicate it, because at some point you make it so complex that people don't
Yes,
use it anymore. And then whatever um, purpose you had in mind with making it so complex, it will never happen because it all stands or falls with people using it. So that
so
is the
true.
most important thing. If you can get that going, you could maybe gradually add some complexity here and there, but still at some point when you make it too complex, people will also stop using it again. So
So true. All right. So you made some really good points. I love the idea of having a simplified version to just manage the client through the beginning of the relationship, into the relationship, and then nurturing them throughout. Tell
mhm.
me how your process works in, or how a typical client. So I'm you're onboarding me and you're setting me up. What's the kind of information that I'm going to want to put in there, and how much data entry? So give me an idea of walking me through that onboard process.
Yeah, so, essential fields are what is the name of the company you're going after, what's their website, because based on that, our system will get much more info. But we also make it really easy to find their website. Like if you start typing the name of a company, it also start looking for websites.
Autofills. Okay. So got a
Yeah,
little AI going on in there, huh?
it's a database. Yeah, it's a search engine basically. When
Nice.
you start because it's really important that people take that step, because based on that we'll get information about the company, but based on that it will also suggest which contacts you already know or who your team knows that might be related to the company, so you don't need to think about that. Just add them with one click. Some people go like that, the fully manual way. Some people have lists that they import
Ah,
because they buy a list somewhere, or they have a list of I don't know, people they have been sending newsletters, or they have a list of people they have done business with from their accounting system, or they used to keep things in spreadsheets. Or and then a third thing is people get leads on their website, and basically what they mostly have been doing up till that point is getting an email with information from the
then
forum. So
manually putting it in.
they manually put it in, and then we assist them with connecting that, so that when a lead comes in through the site, it comes into the CRM, and they can immediately, with all the info that the person has filled out, they can pick it up. It comes at the beginning of their sales pipeline. They see it there, they get a little notification, and they can start working with it.
Oh, I like it.
That's the very essential flow. And what our system then does from there is assisting with keeping track of all the information. It also assists with following up at the right time. So you can set your own reminders, but it will also remind you if you don't.
Mm,
And then there's some stuff like automated emails and filtering capabilities and email templates and email tracking, and all little things that help you with organizing that follow-up in a very efficient, transparent, and yeah, in a way that
wow.
will eventually make you close the deal.
Wow. And I think that's important because what do they say? 7 to 10 times you have to make contact with someone before they make their decision. So those follow-ups are the key. It's not the introduction you made, whether it's from a website or a referral or a networking event where you've met somebody and now you have their information. It's the follow-up that's the magic, right?
Yeah,
In closing that sale.
definitely. I mean, people, they might want to work with you, but still they're busy with other things, and you need to wait for the right timing because now they're working on this conference they're going to, whatever. I mean, there's always something.
A hundred different reasons why.
And you need to just know very well what is holding them back, and trying to guide them to either wait or overcome that. That's your job as a salesperson. If that would be
Exactly.
necessary, if people would buy immediately, then we didn't need salespeople, right?
Right, right. No, understanding the sales process is a great thing, but having the system that pulls the data and grabs everything in and makes sure that oh, I forgot to call, Mr. Smith, and all of a sudden it pops up, oh, you're supposed to call Mr. Smith. I mean,
Hmm.
what a great reminder. And nothing slips through the cracks because I think that's the most important part of any sales is I'm going to call you on Thursday, and you call them on Thursday,
And
and
that already
you
makes a huge difference.
and you can't you shouldn't hold real estate in your brain on remembering to call somebody. That's why we have calendars, right? That's why we have
Yeah,
these systems. And instead of manually entering it into your own calendar of call Mr. Smith at 10 a.m. on Thursday, it pops up on the CRM that has all Mr. Smith's information, and it says, "Ding, you're supposed to call him on 10 o'clock on Thursday."
exactly.
Easy. How come we didn't have this before? How come this is not, and the funny thing about it is that so many of the companies that I work for, they kind of have their own systems, whether it's an accounting software that reminds you to do this, but it's not quite the right thing, or
Hmm.
it's a medical practice that has this, program that says, oh, Susie's supposed to come in and get her teeth cleaned on,
Mm.
in 6 months. It doesn't all work, and I think that having something that's integrated that can pull that information and pop it up seems like a better tool for me.
Yeah, yeah. I feel very bad for medical practices. They have some of the worst software out there. Yeah.
Yes, yes, they have, and it relies solely on the person at the front counter to make that next appointment, which is a great methodology. But if
Hmm.
they don't, then you have to rely on getting them back in and programming it and putting all those pieces together. So,
Yeah.
how your program, is it standalone or does it integrate with other systems?
It
You
integrates
mentioned,
with other systems. Yeah. So there's
okay,
the core integrations, the integration with your mailbox and your calendar and your phone and the website if you install the website tracking and all those kind of things. But then if you use other software like an accounting system, or you have some email marketing software or whatever, you can also connect those. It's cloud software, so it's like the sort of app using your browser,
hmm,
or on your phone, obviously, or as
right,
an app.
right.
And like most other decent cloud software, it integrates with all the stuff you need.
I think that's the breeze right there, is that you don't have to be a coder or remember to turn on this program today and that program today and that program today. It all just
Hmm.
talks and does it automatically. So, what are some of the key points that we want to have when we're entering data into our CRM? Obviously, we want to know the person, the company, and the phone number, but how much information really needs to be in there to be able to monitor effectively that relationship?
Yeah, like you said, the if it's on a company, very very minimal. Is the name of the company and their website. At least for the workings of our system, the website is quite important. Then on a contact, that their name and email address, phone number is handy, and a role is also quite essential. So you know what the person does. Of course, you can remember some of these things, but for posterity, it's good to have it. But then the most important thing is actually on the communication level, because a relationship is not defined by what someone's phone number is or so.
True.
Uh, a relationship is defined by your interactions with them. So the emails you've exchanged, what was in those, the calls you had, what you discussed, And it can be very simple points like if you summarize a phone call or a meeting, the most important thing to write down is what are the next steps we discussed, because that's mostly the conclusion you want to have from such a call or a meeting. Is these are the next steps, very simple, 1, 2, and 3. And then maybe what is the main thing that could hold back the customer, or is it someone they need to discuss it with and that person is going to think this, or is it that they I don't know, there could be many reasons, and there's always this one thing. That's maybe two things, but usually it's one thing that is sort of holding them back, and it's very essential to have in front of you when you're in touch with that customer, because that's what you need to overcome somehow. So
Right.
and
So
also,
do you have any kind of templates in the contact field or communication field? Do you have any kind of formulated templates that help people remember what to put in, or is it just like
no,
a free flow?
but it's a good idea to make such a thing, actually. I should maybe add
Only
that.
take 20%. You're good.
Yeah. we just have a notes field in which you can type this kind of things, and people usually naturally
Right.
type this sort of stuff.
No, but sometimes it's nice to have a template or something just to remind you to, oh, I should put that in there so I know that this is
Definitely.
the number one objective or objection that they're going to come in, or John is the go-between between the CEO, and the CEO will not talk to me, so I've got to make sure that I'm talking to John in the language of the CEO is going to have to hear it. So I mean, it's good to have that kind of information in there to help do that. But I think templates are always nice to make it, keeps it clean, because some of us can rattle on for days, and then some of us are like, okay, here's a couple of codes and I'm done.
It's true. We should enable templates for the notes field perhaps, and put some in there for people.
Yeah.
We have templates for emails. Like if
good.
Yeah, so there you can define templates and easily reuse them and all, but not for meeting notes. It's a good point.
Interesting. Okay, so what are some of the success stories that your customers have had by using your system?
I remember a customer actually told me it's just a team of 3 salespeople. It's not a big team, but they told me that before they just used to use a spreadsheet, and they had quite some leads slipping through the cracks. I mean, nothing that anyone would be concerned about. Like, everybody is sort of in the same situation, I think. But when they then started using Salesflare, they noticed that they were able to follow up their customers in a much better way, much more closely, with the right information at the right times. And they now, with these 3 people, make $1 million more per year, which is
That's
a nice
fantastic.
thing. Yeah, and that's we only charge them for reference. I think they're on the growth plan, so it's 105 for 3 users a month.
That's
and they
nothing.
make a million more per year. So
that's nothing. I was going to ask you what the cost ratio is, because those other companies can be very expensive, or those free versions, they just don't have enough places for you to really utilize what you need to have going forward, or you have to create and build it all yourself. So what are the price ranges that you offer?
So we have a growth, a pro, and an enterprise plan. Most people are either on growth or pro. Enterprise is really if people need more systems.
A lot more.
And we help with almost everything, and it's also only from 5 users and up.
Okay.
But growth is at on the monthly plan, because we have monthly and annual billing. Annual billing is cheaper. It's 35, and on pro it's 55.
That's amazing. That's super usable. It's easy to get going in your company, to try it out and see if it's the right thing for you, because I think every company, I know every company has to have a method, a solid method of staying on top of prospects and getting them into becoming a client, or your business is struggling. I mean, the cost to acquire clients is ridiculous, so you might as well, once you get in front of them, move them through the system properly. So I think that this is pennies for what we could offer. Do you offer any kind of setup or training or anything like that?
We have bi-weekly webinars, first of all. Secondly, we have lots of YouTube videos and articles and all that. But
Nice.
we also are always there to, if you want to get in touch, you can even, if you go on the site, you can book a demo with my colleague Taylor, and she can guide you through everything. If you need a lot of assistance, then it's the enterprise plan I was talking about.
Got it. Got it. Sounds perfect for small businesses to get them moving. I know that this is the early part of 2022, and you know what better time to integrate a new system into your business to make sure that you can't drop, or you're not going to drop those opportunities, and you're going to stay in contact with them. Jeroen, where can listeners find out more about you and Salesflare?
Salesflare is pretty easy. It's just salesflare.com, and Flare is Flare. Like a flare, whatever. And you can read about the software there. You can easily try it. It costs nothing to try it. The trial, it starts with 7 days, but you actually get 30 days if you go through all the steps to set it up. We like to incentivize people with 3 days, so they actually get set up well, because the better set up, the more successful you'll be. And if you want to get in touch with me, LinkedIn is probably the best place.
Awesome.
My name is slightly more complicated. I'm Belgian, and I have this Dutch name, and it's Jeroen Corthout. You'll see it written somewhere. If you just copy that into LinkedIn, then you'll find me. There's only one Jeroen Corthout out there, so just send me a connection request with a personal message, please. Awesome. Because if you don't include a personal message, I will have to assume it's spam, like all of the other things I get. But if it's with a personal message, I'll certainly get in touch with you, and we can have a chat.
Awesome. Well, all that will be in the LinkedIn, will be in the podcast notes. We'll include your LinkedIn connection there where people can connect with you.
Nice.
So this is awesome. Awesome. Okay. So this has been great. I mean, like I said, this is a perfect time to implement a new system. Us small business owners, you know, we struggle a little bit trying to do everything and keep all these balls up in the air, and to not drop the valuable leads that we have and be able to work them through the system and have them become customers. I mean, that's the lifeblood of our business, and it's such an important factor. And to be able to have a system that can have it easily done at pennies on the dollar, I mean, this is a wonderful solution. So thank you for coming on the show today. I know that this is going to help a lot of folks.
Thank you.
Absolutely. All right, listeners, I hope you found an idea or two to put into your business that will help you become more profitable. I know managing your leads is, it's essential. So you got to focus on that. And what a better way to do it than having a platform like Salesflare. So, okay, now more than ever, you need to build your business like you want to sell it. Don't forget to register for my new web class on how to turn your business into one worth selling, even if you aren't thinking of selling it yet. There are tons of benefits to having a sale-worthy business. Don't forget, it's on Wednesday at 6 p.m. Pacific time. Register for free at exitwithaplan.com. You don't want to miss this class. And as always, Jeroen and I would love to hear your questions, or give us feedback. Tell us what kind of sales challenge that you've overcome using a CRM, and your wins that you've gotten out of it. Don't forget to subscribe and comment on today's podcast. We'd love to hear your thoughts on it. So you can catch Profit with a Plan on any of your favorite podcast players. We're looking forward to more great profitable information on next week's show. So until then, make your plans and profit with them. Thanks, Jeroen.